welcome to another edition of the Front Row Roundtable Show presented by Ralphie's. Glad to have you along with us. As panelists this week, you got three guys that are not in the ESPN body issue. I'm Norm Waymer. This is Big John Malkowski. This is Marty Bin. Hello, guys.
Prince Fielder was at one point, so, you know.
So you're saying there's a chance.
There's always a
chance.
Wow. I missed that one.
I'm not touching any of this. Continue on with the rest of the agenda, sir.
I thought it was a good icebreaker. Yeah. All right.
Yes, we got to remember on a Saturday night there are people whose beers are now being taste like
regurgitated.
bile. Yes, like good Lord.
Well, there's a few people that probably had a few by now.
I'm saying
Let's hope so.
that's an image they don't need.
We're good with the beer crowd.
Let's hope so.
We're good with the beer crowd. All right, we are going to fix baseball in this
Is
episode.
baseball broken?
Well,
Yeah, John didn't even get that memo.
Therein lies the first question.
I didn't think baseball
because
needed to be fixed.
that seems to be the somewhat consensus, is that the game is broken. There was a lengthy diatribe from Madison Baumgartner this week about all the changes in baseball, and it was along those same lines, that why are we having all these changes in baseball?
See, I mean, to me, especially if you look at it against the other three major sports, there's more parity in baseball. There's more, player movement. Baseball is just, baseball, every team has been relevant in the last 10 years. You can't say that about any other sport. I just think there's a lot of good in baseball, and they're always at the forefront of changes.
Here's the biggest problem, and it comes back to what, Marty? What does it always come back to? It comes back to money. Yeah, that's the Johnny Manziel side.
That's what I'm saying. I'm right there doing it for you.
And with baseball, it comes back to demographics. As we know, the baseball fan is getting older and is, I believe, older than the fans in the other three major sports.
Right.
I'm
So
sure.
get off my lawn, guy.
The advertisers
not
are
spending
looking
large
for
money.
the younger demos. So therein lies
So before
where
we finish
follow the trail of money. That will always tell you what they're trying to fix.
So before we do this first segment, I would say to you, I think you and I are more alike in our baseball love than we are apart. But I believe in my viewing lifetime, so we'll say in the last 25 years, baseball has gotten slower, it has gotten less watchable, not the game itself, not the physical play, but between innings. I mean, when I go to a Mudhens game, it's exhausting how long it takes to get an inning switched out to me. And I'm saying that because I didn't tell you.
The commercial breaks have gotten longer.
The commercial breaks are longer, the between innings things, the promos. And I was looking for my Junior Eagles shirt tonight because I was thinking I love the game and love coaching it and didn't mind a 2 or 2.5 hour Pee Wee game where, if the ump had a horrible strike zone or whatever, it was still excruciating. But at the same time, the game moved and there was something going on most of the time. And what I find is baseball has a lot not going on intrinsically, and then when you add the absolutely nothing going on of all the pitching changes and all the advertising and all it's hard for me, and I'm an adult, to keep my attention. By the way, my phone has gone off 6 times since then, and all of you texting me that I'm a moron. I know you can't stand me. I got it. Have another drink, go to bed. but I'm saying I think that's changed a lot in my adult lifetime. And I guess I wonder about your take on that as a fan, removing yourself from what happens while the game's on.
There's no doubt. And actually, last weekend, me and my dad and 2 of my kids went on we every summer take a little baseball road trip. And this year we went to Dayton, Louisville, and Fort Wayne, 2 low A teams and then a triple A team. Triple A has the pitch clock and the between innings clock. Low A does not. The between innings clock is the biggest change that has made the biggest difference in Triple A. Because at the Mudhens and at every Triple A, you'd have people throwing things onto the field, mascots doing flips and all that stuff. And they'd be out there for 4 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes, and the umpire's staring at them going, okay, get off the field so we can start. Well, now they've got 2 minutes and 25 seconds. And that's, I mean, if they're not there, the team will actually could get fined for it if they're not ready to go.
I don't want to get too geeky on this, but I as a very little kid, it was the early 70s for me, which was a big-time pitching era. And that's back when Mickey Lilich started 45 times and threw 376 innings and all that.
Won 4 games in a World Series.
I think
recall.
three.
3, okay.
3 on 68. It's the 7th game on 2 days rest.
Right.
But I think it's important of how we got here from that. You know, the lack of offense at that time is what spawned the DH in American League in '73 in the first place. All right, the mounds had just gotten lowered because of 1968 and the big pitching year, but the strike zones have gotten a lot smaller. And pitchers, I had a chance to sit down and talk to Mickey Lolich in one spring training, which was a fascinating discussion. And he said he basically used to throw 4-seam fastballs up and in, and 2-seamers down and away. And that was most of what he threw, because the strike zone was big enough that you could work the strike zone. You could work it up and down. And now it's gotten to the point that the game always adjusts to whatever rules they throw out at it. The strike zone got smaller, so what happened was, pitcher-wise, they had to come up with ways to make everything move. Now it's all about movement. Now it's not necessarily about spotting your pitch, it's about movement. So the hitters have not been able to adjust to that yet. Now what's interesting is that the commissioner had an interesting point when he was talking about the shifts. He thought that baseball would adjust to it and guys would start going the other way. To get around the shifts, what have they done? They're not going the other way, they're going over the top.
Yeah, right.
Everybody's increasing the launch angle. You hear that all the time. They're going over the top. So the rule changes really create what kind of game we have. And I think that's important when we start screwing around with the game some more and do some more rule changes, which probably are inevitable. What is going to be the effect? I think that's really important. We're under a minute in this segment.
So as a purist, I hear you and I agree with all those things, and I'm open to the tweaking. What I'm saying is the biggest change to me is what we started with. The game is just longer and there's more dead breaks, because it's actually an objection I have with football is moving in a place where it's unwatchable to me. Someone's like, we both go to a lot of high school games. It's wonderful. You get in there at 7 o'clock, at 10 o'clock, most nights you're home. It's a beautiful game, and baseball used to be more beautiful to me because there wasn't all this dead time for my phone to go off and everything else. And I think it's a real problem that has nothing to do, and I think all your changes are important, but unless you fix this part, I think you're losing a lot of people and never going to get them back. I
want to hit pitching changes and how we got there, because I think that's an interesting story. We'll do that when we come back. Front Row Roundtable show presented by Ralphie's. We'll be right back.
Matthews Ford Oregon is the dealership that makes a difference, because we now offer guaranteed credit approval. We know what's on paper doesn't always reflect the person in front of us. That's why we work with over 40 lending institutions every day to help find solutions, and in some cases, we've been able to help folks looking at pre-owned vehicles drive away in a brand new one. Remember, we're here to help, not to judge. Ride on our reputation as the name has been trusted since 1952.
That's the Matthews way.
Hi, Mortgage Marty here. Proud to announce I'm now at Fairway Mortgage. Long story, but at the end of the day, it's the perfect combination of great national talent and local everything. Our whole team's moving over, and I'm really blessed to have access to some of the best technology and tools in the industry, and yet still help you locally. You can reach out to us on the internet, on Facebook at Mortgage Marty, or just text me 419-461-0667.
Bring yourself to Ralphie's. Yeah, it's that good. It's that good no matter what your taste. It's that good. Come early, stay late. Burgers and beer, a shot of cheer. Great food and fun. It's that good here. Bring yourself to Ralphie's. Yeah, it's that good.
Save more at the Monroe Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Superstore when you drive home one of 4 amazing new models for only $178 a month. Drive home in a 2018 Dodge Charger GT all-wheel drive, 2018 Jeep Compass Limited, the all-new 2019 Jeep Cherokee Limited, or the all-new 2018 Jeep Wrangler Limited Sport 4-wheel drive 4-door. Call the Low Payment Kings toll-free at 1-888-4DODGE-1 or check out hundreds of cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs at monroesuperstore.com.
Powerbomb Wrestling is back in Toledo Sunday, July the 15th at St. Clements Hall, 2990 Tremainsville Road. The Circus of Pain, Pedal the Killer Clown, and Genghis Clown will battle the PBW champion, the Bachelor Ben Boone, and his partner, Unchained Brandon Day, this time with special guest referee Bobo Brazil Jr. You'll see the tag team titles defended along with the women's championship. Doors open at 4, bell time at 5. It's PBW coming up on Sunday, July the 15th in Toledo.
Back we are in the Front Row Roundtable show presented by Ralphie's. Don't forget wing time at Ralphie's weekdays 2 until 5. Get a 10 count of wings for half price or half price appetizers any night after 9 o'clock, which I took advantage of that a little earlier this week. I walk in, they all go, Norm. All right, let's continue to fix baseball here. I want to make a point before we get into the pitchers and that, and the 13-man pitching staffs and the guys that they're bringing up and down, and functionally you got about a 17-man pitching staff. As a kid, again, way back in the 30s.
Back in my day.
But no, back in the early 70s when guys were throwing 300 innings easily, there just weren't that many great arms. There weren't. Staffs had maybe 3 or 4 good pitchers on them unless you were the Baltimore Orioles. One of the early 70s Orioles teams used 12 pitchers the entire season, and for stretches had 8-man pitching staffs. The one year they threw 71 complete games. We've gone from that to hardly get a complete game.
A what? What is this?
You may have to explain what a complete game is.
Unless you're carrying a no-hitter or a perfect game into a certain inning, I don't think you even get that.
In a span of about 40 years, which is pretty fascinating, I think. But I think it became a reaction to the steroid era, when guys were hitting 50 and 60 homers all over the place. It used to be, there's a lot of guys that come out of high school and college that were two-way players. Stop, just hang on a second while you're wincing. But there's a lot of players that had come out of college as two-way players, okay, that could hit and pitch. Most of the time in the past, they would become hitters. But because of that steroid era, anybody that could throw 90 plus, they put them on the mound. And now if there's a two-way guy, he's probably going to stay on the mound. And now we got pitching staffs full of guys that throw mid-90s. Guys come up from the minors that you've never heard of that hit 98.
But I think that's one of the problems. I mean, and Marty and I were talking about it before the show. There is no pitchability anymore. If you're in high school as a right-hander and you're not hitting 90, you're not getting a sniff in the draft. You can have great control. You can
good movement.
Movement control.
Late violet down means nothing unless the gun says
if
something.
you're not hitting the radar gun. And I actually there was a tweet from Scott Drucker, former Mud Hen, who I still follow on Twitter. He was at a 12U baseball game this weekend. A guy behind the plate with a radar gun, getting pitch speeds for 12-year-old baseball.
But this is why we need expansion, because. You all right?
No. Continue talking. I'm not going to say a word. I'm just going to sit over here and massage my face and pretend I didn't hear you say that.
Because now there's too many teams have too many pitchers that throw in the mid-90s. This is why everybody.
There's like 400 more midnight.
This is why everybody throws one inning. This is why guys come in and throw as hard as they can, as long as they can. The complete games in the past were out of necessity because there weren't that many good pitchers. There weren't that many guys that threw hard.
But guys also weren't going 100% every pitch and just grew
out
from
of necessity, though, because they didn't have anybody. They didn't have 5 guys in the bullpen that were throwing mid-90s that they could bring in.
But back then, everybody wanted to be a starter, and everybody was brought in to be a starter. Now, I mean, they have kids in high school who are closers, who come in and pitch one inning and throw gas. But why? I mean,
because we have so many guys like that. It's an advantage to be able to come in and just throw as hard as you can as long as you can.
and we also have way more Tommy John surgeries and elbow issues and shoulder issues.
But we're not running out of pitchers.
Okay, so I don't want to get all demographic-y like we used to on the radio, but remember there's 4 or 5 billion people in the world now, and back in your day, the time you're talking about, there were like a third that. So there's just that many more. So what are you going to go to, 86 teams to water this down? I mean, I think you're trying to do something that to do it, you'd have to have baseball in every corner of the planet and guys flying around the world. There's just that many people who can throw that hard.
Well, there's one other option, and you're not going to like it.
Well, fire it up.
You're not going to like it.
I might like it better than this one.
The only other option, and this is going to make him have an aneurysm.
I know.
Is to move the mound back. It's the only other option.
I actually prefer that.
Whether it's be 6 inches or whatever. I'm not talking about having them throw from second base.
No, I would actually be more in favor of that because, yeah, you may be able to throw hard, and being in AAA, I've seen a lot of it. There's a lot of guys out there who can throw 98 who have no idea where the heck the ball's going.
Correct.
They just
leave my hand. It's a bullet from the gun.
Especially in Tigers minor league, I've seen year after year after year, just 3 guys who can throw as hard as they want and have no idea where the ball's going. And to me, that's not useful. You're walking a guy every other inning, or I mean, heck, last night in the Mud Hens game we had 14 walks. It's not. That was not fun to watch. Yeah, we had the Mud Hens had 1 inning, 2 runs scored, 3 left on base, didn't get a hit. Walked 5 guys in that inning. It doesn't matter how hard you throw if you can't throw it around the strike zone.
I'm sorry, that's unwatchable. And then, by the way, at least you have the clock now. But you have these breaks. So if it's a big league game, can you imagine what that inning feels like? I mean, the dog and my wife have long since gone to bed. I've tried to make the second batch of popcorn, and the kids are looking at me going, "No, dude, we're going to play Fortnite. Have a night." I mean, that's how. Please tell me that would be different at your house with that inning.
Well, my kids are baseball nerds.
Even after that inning?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But why do guys not slap the ball around anymore? It's because the players have gotten bigger and stronger. The parks have gotten smaller.
Well, and it's
smaller.
also
Baseball's
because
the only sport, obviously, where the playing field is different every place you go play.
It reminds me of 12U baseball, right? The 1 year where you're still playing on all the little softball diamonds, and everybody's got the big bat, and all the kids that can smoke it. Nobody gets, once in a while there's a double, nobody gets a triple. So it's singles and home runs and walks, and that's what it's gone to, right?
See, again, when I was a kid, Yankee Stadium, the old Yankee Stadium was about 460 to center field.
Yeah, if you hit it out, you hit it.
With the monuments out there.
Correct.
But if you get it over their head, you were going to get a triple. And if it started banging around in the monuments, you were probably going to get
better pull it to the porch in right field
inside
or have a nice
the park
day.
home run. So,
but, I mean, part of it is because the big contracts go to the home run hitters. Teams aren't paying for Tony Gwynn didn't get the biggest contracts,
but now they can.
Playing.
Because if you went to Yankee Stadium, you were a left-handed hitter, great. You were a right-handed hitter, that left center field was a long way away. And you remember what happened when the Tigers tried to have a big ballpark.
Oh yeah.
And the infamous Juan Gonzalez
that worked
fiasco.
one year before they moved the bullpens in there and cut it off.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, I want to get these guys' thoughts on electronic strike zone. That when we come back. Front Row Roundtable show presented by Ralphie's.
It'll be okay, John. It'll be okay.
Matthews Ford Oregon is the dealership that makes a difference because we now offer guaranteed credit approval. We know what's on paper doesn't always reflect the person in front of us. That's why we work with over 40 lending institutions every day to help find solutions, and in some cases, we've been able to help folks looking at pre-owned vehicles drive away in a brand new one. Remember, we're here to help, not to judge. Ride on our reputation as the name that has been trusted since 1952.
That's the Matthews way.
Hi, Mortgage Marty here. Proud to announce I'm now at Fairway Mortgage. Long story, but at the end of the day, it's the perfect combination of great national talent and local everything. Our whole team's moving over, and I'm really blessed to have access to some of the best technology and tools in the industry, and yet still help you locally. You can reach out to us on the internet, on Facebook at Mortgage Marty, or just text me 419-461-0667.
Bring yourself to Ralphie's.
Save more at the Monroe Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Superstore when you drive home one of 4 amazing new models for only $178 a month. Drive home in a 2018 Dodge Charger GT all-wheel drive, 2018 Jeep Compass Limited, the all-new 2019 Jeep Cherokee Limited, or the all-new 2018 Jeep Wrangler Limited Sport 4-wheel drive 4-door. Call the Low Payment Kings toll-free at 1-888-4-DODGE-1 or check out hundreds of cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs at monroesuperstore.com.
Powerbomb Wrestling is back in Toledo Sunday, July the 15th at St. Clemens Hall, 2990 Tremainsville Road. The Circus of Pain, Pedo the Killer Clown, and Genghis Clown will battle the PBW champion, the Bachelor Ben Boone, and his partner, Unchained Brandon Day, this time with special guest referee Bobo Brazil Jr. You'll see the tag team titles defended along with the women's championship. Doors open at 4, bell time at 5. It's PBW coming up on Sunday, July the 15th in Toledo. All right, welcome back. Front Row Roundtable Show presented by Ralphie's, Norm Wamer, Big John Malkowski, Marty Ben. Electronic strike zone. I think it's going to happen. I do. I think it's going to happen. And I'm pretty old school about a lot of things, except this one.
We're going to need to do intervention, get John some help. You know.
One thing that I found out, and I'm going to say it. Nobody else says this, but I'm going to say it. With instant replay, and that the little K zone or Fox track or whatever you want to call it, umpires are not that good. They just, that's not the thing to say, but it is the truth. If you watch, they miss a lot of pitches, and there's a lot of plays on the bases that get overturned.
So we used to have a rule, if you went out between innings, you could never criticize the umpire for what he did. You just had to look at him and say, hey, you owe me a couple. Right? And not yell at him, just say, hey, look. And he'd look at you and be like, probably. And that was always our thing, is we just wanted to end up even, right? As a coach, you just wanted to come out sort of on balance, because everybody knew, you missed that one. That third strike was pretty awful. Oh, by the way, you missed the other one where we should have punched the guy out. So we're like, hey, that's 2 you owe me. Get me back. And the other guy would start screaming. So I've always thought it was an arbitrary.
Well, as a mediocre pitcher growing up, I didn't throw real hard, but I had a real good curveball. So I would spend the first inning just trying to figure out where the strike zone was.
Right, because it's an arbitrary thing. It's not. Well, it's not a box.
And if you talk to baseball players, they just want it to be consistent. If you're going to call the high strike and not the low strike, fine, just do it all the time.
They want it to be consistent until they're Greg Maddux, and then they can consistently open up the. Because
Eric Gregg isn't around anymore.
See, to me, every pitcher and catcher lies when they say that. What they mean is, I want to know where it is to start with, so I can start expanding it to my benefit over a period of time. And the hitters want to shift where they stand in the box to do the same thing. To me, nobody really means that in baseball, because everyone's sort of cheating all the time. Okay, it was 2 balls outside. That should be a strike. Why? Because that's where I decided it should be a strike. Is that not how they act?
No, if an umpire, usually umpires will give one corner or the other and call more of a higher strike zone. And the players, I think, do really just want to know, okay, is the outside pitch a strike or is the inside pitch a strike? And if he's given both, then the batters have no chance. But usually it's one or the other.
Sometimes.
Usually.
See, I'm with you. I've watched some of those stat trackers, and you're like, I got no idea either.
You could go into Baseball Reference and look up pitchers by umpire. Their stats by umpire, because they're not uniform.
No. They've gotten a lot better, though. They have, from back in the 90s when you had Eric Gregg, who would call 7 inches on the outside corner and give Tom Glavine that extra part, and this pitcher called the high and this pitcher called the low. They've more uniformed it. But
so you're saying they've gone from god awful to mediocre, and we're celebrating that. I just want to be clear on what we're on the.
I just challenge anybody next time they watch a baseball game, watch where it is on the K zone or whatever, and watch what the umpire calls, and watch how accurate they are.
And I will also say, I think we've all been back there, yes?
No.
That's a hard job.
Oh, absolutely.
No question.
And at the speeds and the velocity and the movement they're throwing at, I don't want that. So I'm not this is why I'm with you on the
Well,
electronic.
that's what I'm
John,
saying.
sorry.
It's not necessarily the umpire's fault. It's a very difficult job.
It's horrible. I couldn't do it, so let's go electronic. Please,
Yeah.
please, come to the light. John, come to the light.
It's one of those things. I don't even have a good argument against it. I just don't like it.
It's okay. We can talk you through it when it happens, because after it happens, you're going to like it. You're going to be like, gosh, I can't believe I was that guy that fought this, because I think you're in the minority, and we want to help you embrace change to make this better for all of you that watch a baseball game.
DH in both leagues?
No. I don't like the DH in one league.
Man.
Why should pitchers get a special
Because it's
exemption?
entertainment at the end of the day. And did you see Dylan Betances the other night try to swing a bat?
Yeah, that's entertainment, isn't it?
No, it's not. If I wanted to see that, I'd go down to the playground, down in the corner.
Here's the thing. Let's just get him to go with the strike zone tonight, because we're not getting this one. Let's fight the fights we can win and avoid the fights we can't. We're not
Do you
winning this
want
fight.
to watch David Ortiz or do you want to watch Dylan Betances?
But if you're going to go to the DH,
I think a little bit of both, so have it each way in each league. I kind
that's
of like the way
terrible.
it is now.
Well,
Because we're going to get radical realignment, and DH is going to be gone, or going to be in both leagues. It's going to be one big league. It's going to be DH all the way across.
well, let's just play 2-platoon baseball then. We'll have 9 guys go out in the field and play, and we'll have 9 guys go up and hit.
You're going way beyond.
Well, if the pitcher gets a special exemption, why not?
I feel like we had
football
him for a
stopped
minute.
that way.
Now you've lost him
Because you're
you
not
had
going to have a 30 or 40 man roster.
But football went. They were originally one. Everybody played both
High
ways.
school, you can play both ways. Yeah.
Yeah, and in the
College, you
NFL, but in the NFL originally they did.
Yeah, but
and then
now,
teams
but now
started
they
saying,
don't because it evolves.
"Well, okay, then let's just play 2 platoon." And,
You know what pitchers are hitting right now? 113.
But I'm sure they have a lot of sacrifice bunts.
Oh, that's exciting.
a lot of what? I thought that was banned, because I don't.
No, only for the sabermetricians is it
I mean,
banned.
when is the art of getting one past the mound into the space that advances the runner automatically become something we celebrate?
Well, it needs to come back, because I've watched Kristen Stewart flail a lot with nobody standing over here at third base.
Did one of your kids ever come to you and go, Dad, can you please take me to a game so I can see a double switch? I'm under 30 seconds here, quick.
My kids, yes. Your kids, yes. So the problem is you're not raising your kids right.
Exactly.
Because my son will tell you the greatest hit he ever had was when he was told to get a bunt down in a key spot and got a bunt down to advance the runner, and they win a game because of it, and everyone went crazy.
You have no sense of time. I said 30 seconds. We got to get out of here. All right, Saturday Night Live next. Don't forget Powerbomb Wrestling coming your way at 2 a.m. If you can't stay up, DVR it or catch it on our YouTube channel. We'll see you next time on the Front Row Roundtable Show presented by Ralphie's.